the nods and moves and hands that follows the presentation for me, really. Thank you so much. You got me smiling when you talked about NBC there. Something that is my everyday living right now. Hopefully, I'll be able to get away from it. I'll be able to get away from it some of these days. Thank you so much. The end should not always justify the means you said, and it's quite instructive when you talk about the fact that our religious values are totally overshadowing our national, obligations and developmental goals and what we can contribute to that because we are overtly religious. I'm putting that in parentheses, and that's quite a challenge. And you said we need courage, without which we cannot create or make change. We need to be able to speak to power if we want to see that change. And you said seeking position for benefits and non-service is a big problem. I love the analogy of the, junior school to senior school that you gave. It just brings it to life, and I was just know that really it's true because I hear from my kids saying that I can't wait to go to senior class. Yes. So nobody will tell me to fetch water for them again. Nobody will and I'm like, so are you going to tell people to fetch water for you? And they look at me and go, no, I see the guidance. But it's the truth of the reality and how it's now, replicated. So I have a lot of questions coming online and we're trying to round up. I'm looking at the time. But before we get to that, let me find out from you now what's your prescription for your prescription? Let me use that word. What Panadol, fancy are you giving? What precision are you giving to end this continuous exploitation of the over-religiosity of Nigerians? The fact that if you are not from this particular religion, then you're not good enough. Or you're not from this particular tribe, then you're not good enough. The people know that's also, we're over-polarized, right? And the politicians know it. Whether they made it so is another conversation, but they definitely are exploiting it. What's your prescription for stopping that?
Politicians do not create the social realities, they just exploit them. Which is why the politician in Nigeria cannot endorse homosexuality and respect to people and election. Meanwhile, here in the United States, you have to, regardless of your need, cannot come out all out against homosexuality. You can against it and just say, just give one preaching, for example. The same way in Nigeria, you cannot be against polygamy. No politician can come out and pass polygamy. Because those are the cultural realities of us as people. Whether you agree or don't, you must play ball as it were. So the politicians do not create the ethnic and religious bias. They exploit.
Yes,
they might exactly. But they do not create false lines. They look at society, they see where the weakest link is, and then they exploit it. So, education, anything that you look at the definition of prejudice itself, it is an opinion that is held without critical thinking or actual experience. What does education do? Education teaches you how to think critically, teaches you how to think logically. Unfortunately for us as Nigerians, we are not logical thinkers. We do not think logically. So at any point, you can see a person speaking in English. The masters in Leeds or Watson come back after 2 years and is still thinking the way you are thinking before they left. There must be investments in education. The Protestant ethic and spiritual characteristics that I spoke of earlier was very instrumental in Europe because it also so the spiritual revival, the religious revival in Europe came after the age of enlightenment. So if you see people like Martin Luther, John Calvin, they were scholars in and of themselves. So as they were preaching, as they were teaching, as they were evangelizing, they were saying, you have to read. It does not just have to appeal to your spirit, it has to also appeal to your mind. So when at any time when you have people saying vacate your mind, vacate critical thinking, I am a man of faith. There have been times when I've had nothing but faith. A couple of people on this call know I live by faith. I believe, yes, you can walk by faith and not by sight. But it does not say walk by faith and deny sight. The Bible that says, the scripture that says, in all your, do not lean on your own understanding. It does not say you should not use your understanding. It just says you should not lean on it. It means that even as you are used to it, they are not sorry. They are not Paul says, having faith and a good conscience. So there's a level of it. Every religion, every cleric, any denomination, any faith that is saying, abandon your faith. Just take it to go like and see that. Go like and see that. It must be avoided. It must be avoided. But the reason our people are falling into this, the reason we are seeing insurgency, the reason we are seeing people abandon good thinking and just live hedonistic lives, which we claim to be prosperity. There's a difference between prosperity and covetousness. They are living prosperity, not covetousness. There's a place for faith, there's no patience. People must learn how to live. They must be able to apply it to even in religious circles. Even in religious circles. So I think we have to have this education. Unfortunately, since the 70s, military conscious and the bourgeois of our society, it was a conscious effort to decimate public education. And the agenda is going on because all people, the process of speaking and logic, you can control their destinies. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing the investments in education. Good quality education is now no longer a right in Nigeria. It is a luxury. And once that is the case, that's society.
Can we please give this gentleman? Ezinwanyi online says very well spoken. It's quite a massive round of applause. There are a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, but you seem to, like the journalist that you are, go ahead and answer them before I get there. So thank you very much. It was this to stick around, but I'm going to come back to you for 1 minute closing remark before we're done. I'm trying to see whether Prof is still online. Can somebody please confirm that to me? There's a question. Our keynote speaker is, being requested to speak to if he's still online. Hello, Prof. Are you there, sir? Yes. Yeah, I can see his this thing, but I need to hear that. Probably, you can multitask. That's what I'm trying to verify here. Let's be sure it's not multitasking at the moment. Okay. We'll shoot that question across to you. And because we're trying to confirm whether Prof can take a question before we come to all the speakers to give us a 1 minute closing remarks before we're done today. Because the issue of ideology, if you look at all the conversations we've been having, George, it's about political cross carpeting, right? The issue of ideology around, well, I'm not really, so 10 minutes to come. Looking at the issue of ideology and whether our politicians actually invite them. You see them today, APC, PDP, NNP, QWA, different, and if you really see through, they're the same people. The question of what do they really believe in becomes an issue. Should there be some form of law that says you cannot move from between more than two parties? If you move from one party to another, you must stay there and not move anymore. How do we solve that problem? Because Nigerians sometimes we forget quickly. So most people forget how the current administration came into power. The same people who brought them in are telling you now how they are black and Jaco, because now they want something different in their own age. How do we solve that challenge?
Yes, if you look at it, it's a difficult thing because the constitutional.
The microphone.
Okay.
it's a constitutional matter because there is this freedom of association in the constitution. And if you look at it, you cannot stop any person from moving from one political party to the other because he has that freedom. In fact, under that provision, even freedom to belong to trade unions and all those things, they are there. And the courts have held that these are inalienable rights. Now, under the constitution, if an elected public officer cross carpets to another political party, especially the legislative arm of government, he should ordinarily vacate his seat. But this is not, we have not seen clearly where the courts have held in that direction. What you see is a situation where cross-carpeting from an opposition party to the ruling party, the effect is a welcome party. But when it is from the ruling party to opposition, that is where you start having EFCC and all those things around. So what we can do is to have a rethink in terms of our constitutional provision. Maybe to say, as you said, it has to be a constitutional provision that will say, okay, if you cross carpet, maybe within a time frame of 4 years, you don't cross carpet to more than one or two political parties, depending on what the people want. But one of the challenges you have is in the constitution alteration process, this political class will definitely stop it.
Because they are the ones that
They are the ones.
you know,
So you will not. Have you imagined a situation where there are moves to give autonomy? I'm referring to what happened in the past. There were moves to give autonomy to local government, to state assembly, and this is not go through. Some state assemblies say we want to give you autonomy, and you say no, because they are doing the bidding of their governor. Imagine two institutions that can remove a governor: the legislature and the judiciary. They are the two institutions that the governors are playing with, because they are from the executive. In fact, in one state, I don't want to mention the name, before the governor agreed to renovate the state assembly complex, they had to lie to him that they saw snakes all over the place. So what kind of institution? So I can assure you that if this move, which is good, is made, is going to receive a lot of resistance from the political class. And at the end of the day, we'll go back to square one. So there's no ideology. What ideology? The people you found, the people who are campaigning, who are talking about, I'm in APC, I'm in PDP. Last time they were in PDP, today they are in APC. Last time they were in APC, today they are in PDP. So there is no, it's just a kind of conglomeration of people who have similar interests. If we are not on the same page, I move to another one. There's no ideology. It's not ideology. Moving from one political party, not because there's a different ideology. What ideology? It's just a group of politicians who want to seize power. That's all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samuel. Yes, we're going to save Mr. Atta for the last to round up the conversation. Let me go online. Do we have Peter? I think immediately after he spoke, right? Yeah, I can appreciate the time. Is Ofe still there? Let me give him 30 seconds to just give us his final thought. I really do want to save Mr. Atta for the last for this part of the conversation. He has to attend to the flock. Yes, please just go ahead already. Yeah, we just need a final thought from you, like 30 seconds on the conversation so far. I know you listened to most of the conversation we've had before you spoke, actually.
Yeah, thank you very much. Once again, thank you so much for this event. Each country will have this event is very true. We are the body of ignorance. We are instilling courage. We are giving information. We are giving people to continue to have this. I was speaking to something that Jen just said. One of the reasons we don't see parties with that bill is because the nation has that bill. The United States was built on the ideology of liberty. France was built on the ideology of equality. Nigeria And so, that's the problem. Because I said, hey, let's go together and exactly began to compete against one another. So, of course, Nigerians in different parts of one competition that inclusion or in cooperation. These are the things that we understand a lot to address. We can begin to say, hey, we need to get fashion in national identity. What is our identity? Once the nation has an identity and an ideology, then we need to say some and parties, institutions, institutional departments, and entities, we need to also fashion their own ideologies. So I think it's important that I said it was just have this conversation. The biggest feeling of I, Jonathan, Ambassador, John, Yarabola, is not running this is not all infrastructure. The number one feeling was the refusal or inability for them to have the national ideology or identity. And of course, we cannot do that in 4 years. Once we come to the need, but we have started the process. And I think this is a major thing to see how more and more and more a presidential policies. We should not be talking oh, see, half of you. No. Decided. Decided. It is a matter of vision. If people have a vision, then they come together. Nigerians are moving in different directions. When I say the organization that I consult for, individuals as a coach, I say, okay, you start this company. What is verifying? Imagine grabbing the cross and just the different. No. The team have put together because they know the goalposts they are scoring. We have 200 million people trying to score 200 million people.
Confusion. Yeah. We are making three.
Thank you so very much. And I like to just, say that this is one conversation that is very timely, because we cannot keep dwelling in the past, even if we look back to give us the energy that we need to leap forward. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Let's come back here to the room now and go to Mr. Atta, who started the conversation. I deliberately said I'm going to keep him till the last so that he will kind of give us your final thoughts. You started this off really well with all the foundation and the message that you put forward before the other speakers came on. And I haven't listened to all of them in a minute or maybe two max. Can you just give us your final thought before we close, sir?
Thank you very much. It's been a learning experience for me. I do not so much agree with the issue of that we don't have an ideology. We had a first national anthem which said, though tongue and tribe may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And then we have the second one now, which harps on something that's just a bit of a confusion for me. But then we still have the national pledge. However, in all of this, if we do not consciously come together to respect each ethnic nationality as a group, and we keep getting the imposition, a foundation that is faulty can never, ever grow. It cannot sustain the weight of the generality of our aspirations as a body of nationalities. Secondly, if we all agree that, for example, Nigeria, let's look at sports. The minute our boys in USA in 1994, when was this, agreed at halftime to play football together, forgetting ethnicity, and 5 to 6 minutes, they came down deficit of 4 goals and were still able to win by 5 goals to 4. Now, within that period, I also used the issue of the marketplace. If we all start to look ourselves as a marketplace of ideas that still has an opening time and a closing time, then we will begin to fashion out a new national identity, which the youth have shown us before through music, through entertainment. When they brought up the coin Niger. Niger is a different movement. It's a social movement from the word Nigeria. Nigeria is an imposed contraption. But when we have Niger mentality, and now we are having a revolution, I don't want to use the name, we are having a revolution of resistance, business as usual, and now on a change mantra. We're not going to accept it hook, line, and sinker, the deceit, the whatever it is we want to call the mistrust and the distrust that has been developed by people in my generation, those ahead of me. A new corporate identity that people can begin to build that trust again. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yes, indeed, we need to build that trust again. I don't know about you, but we have heard very eloquent, deep, and nation-changing conversations today. The first edition we're online on ground, put our hands together for this event. Now the vision statement says building a national ideology for the next generation, one man, one idea, and one change at a time, in Nigeria that believes in Nigerians, built by community of Nigerians who believe in Nigeria. And if you listen to every speaker so far, you will see that indeed the assignment was well understood and was well delivered as well. Now, let me just say this. It was Bhagat Singh who said, bombs and pistols do not make revolution. The sword of revolution is sharpened on the whitening stone of ideas. Today, the colloquy is the whitening stone that we're using to sharpen ideas, and we definitely make change. I can tell you authoritatively that there will be a communique at the end of this whole conversation that will be shared to everyone who's involved in this conversation, and you would see it. It will be something, the media will talk about it, but beyond that, it's a document that we can hold and run with as we move towards the next coming election. I'm sure if you've been a part of it, you've had a mind shift of some sort, from the way you saw, the way you reasoned towards certain issues. And I want to once again thank all our very, very, very eloquent speakers. Thank you so much, sir, for making our time to be here early and staying true to the end. That means a lot to us. Thank you very much. And to all the organizers and everybody, thank you. At this point, my name is Rita Wujero. It's been an honor being the moderator. I'm going to hand the microphone over now to my MC, who I can't see right now. Okay. Ochodo, please do come over so that are we still having the press conference? Yes. Oh, for his vote of thanks. Oh, he's there for your vote of thanks. Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for him as he comes forward for the vote of thanks. I'm trying to get your name. Oh, John, right? John Oshogo. Please, let's give him another round of applause. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're lecture. Okay.
You can do that. And do that.
Okay.
John,
okay then. All right. So what a day it's been. Sometimes it feels good to view a product from the answer to the question. The usual has been to go from questions to answers, but today we have tried to envision a new Nigeria from 2031 back to its beginning at the elections of 2023. And today, Fundación Éxito has brought us all together to craft that vision, at least assuming we're starting from tabula rasa. So it forms a template for whoever takes over the steering wheel of this going concern or this entity to say, okay, so how far off are we from that which is the ideal, and what do we need to do to get to the dream state? So today we would like to first thank Fundación Éxito, its management, board, and staff for putting together what has been the maiden edition of the Colloquy. In all honesty, it's about time we had this conversation, and like they say, it's always better to judge than to war. So let's have these conversations until collectively from 1% densification of consciousness, we get to the herd being collectively aware of what commonsensical goalposts should be for leadership and governance. So for that, we thank Fundación Éxito, especially its founder, Mr. Dominic Obozwa, who does not want to be named or mentioned here, but who must be acknowledged, because in all honesty, if I have ever seen a beast of burden, a donkey for Nigeria, it would be Dominic. Yeah. That's deserving applause there. Also, I would like to, in no particular order, give thanks to our facilitators, especially, let me start with the keynote speaker, Professor Odinkalu Chidi. He's a whole moving institution, and I try to stay away from listing his titles and laurels, because then you start a whole conversation that you don't want to go into. His contribution today, beyond being unique, beyond being bold, beyond being fresh, also was quite the agent provocateur. At a point, I was almost scared for him and for us. And I was like, well, we're just trying to make things better. And sometimes you need to run diagnostics. You need to rip the bandage off an injury if you're going to fix it. And that was what Professor Chidi Odinkalu did for us earlier. So thank you so very much, Prof, for your contribution to this conversation, especially on defining now. What is now? What's the state of the entity that needs to be fixed? I will not go into the details of everything that he had to address, but we thank him so very much for his contributions. I'd like to thank the one who, the monk with no title. So I'll use Mr. because that's generic. You can't run away from that. Mr. Babajide Zuberu Atta of Northwind Global Consult. You have been an absolute blessing. First, when I walked into this room, I thought I'd be the weird one, and his face lit up, and I was like, okay, there's one of my kind here. And we struck a quick instant friendship, and I got to meet his children, all of whom wear dreadlocks like me. And yeah, so my daughters, my wife, my brother, myself, well, we're dreadlocks. And he, in less than 2 minutes, took me back to the time before the colonial masters came and asked, what was your identity? How did you carry your hair? How did you organize your society? Why must you live on unquestioned assimilation of Western values? And he went on and on. And yeah, all that preaching was done in under 2 minutes. Such is his power. So thank you so very much, Sir Babajide Zuberu Atta. We will be inviting you over and again, not just again, in all honesty, because until we can transfer your consciousness to the generations behind you, we haven't done nothing. You've done so for your boys. I can see how liberated they are. I looked in their eyes. I saw that you've done your homework, but that's just your scale to his generation. Until we have herd consciousness, we're not home yet on that. Yes, so I will leave your treatise on government and leadership, on politics, going from the manifesto of promises to how it's going to be done until it becomes tangible reality. We hope that after now, the communique will go on to inform whoever comes, emerges victorious. They can build their policies, their programs, their projects, and then their activities. Chipita Ugu, culture, media, and entertainment of our country, because it's a whole journey from of the culture and media and entertainment space. The value, the economy, there's, imagine how industry and Nollywood takes off, you'd be shocked at how much positive in the what we used to call the streets in Lagos, Ajegunle, and everywhere else. Thank you. My favorite music. Let me not hype them too much. Tosin schools at safe hands. You know how we all the train has left the, but the next train to leave, if we get them right, then we have a hope of redemption. I call my kids my redemption, because my forefathers were very vicious and mean hunters, and they were not nice and democratic about it. My father brought me out from. He got me an education, got me a master's. But after that, what next? Because what he did was to make sure that one person from each house in all of our 5 villages went to school. Yes, that's his own baton. So now it's now in my hands, and my own. Not only will I find you an education, I will give you so you're not limited to where you're from, but in your global consciousness also, I will give you after your education, you're able to equip yourself and to the world. So hopefully they take the conversation one step forward. So finding children, influencing their minds and getting them socially conscious and well educated as to their civic responsibilities and their contribution to the betterment of the whole world. Mrs. O, as she called herself, no, she said Mrs. O, did a very good job of it. Teachers being candles of society is a concept that I will not lose. Actually, of all my friends, for the ones that teach. If you ask them, they'll tell you, because it's no mean feat to pull. Okay, so and then her drawing of attention education was critical, and then linking it to SDG 4. I always start my thinking from the sustainable development goals. I always start from do so in these 8 years. Maybe we just might stem the. That's possible. Dr. Samuel Oguche of Yaga Africa, who just left, also did a good job of helping draw attention to election manipulation risk index, its 6 key variables, and how we're high risk state of the low risk states, and then at least not be taken by surprise when things go wrong. That we wake the citizens responsibility. Ofie Jembi, I call him my cousin because we have a long history, also did a good job faith and religion to politics. Yeah, and it's about time we separated faith and the parroting of politics and governance. And if we do so, then we come down to how well you're able to meet the goalpost of politics and of delivering results, as against just wearing a pious toga on top, but either being incompetent or being malevolent at the bottom. Because in all honesty, some of our leaders fall into those baskets, but we're not here to judge no one. I will just run down, because of time, to Ogechi Abu and Queen Rita. We are not started with you two yet, in all honesty, because Ogechi is loaded, but she's waiting for her guests to be done before she comes in. Unfortunately, she had to attend to something, but in all honesty, my thanks to Ogechi now is not because she is a member of the board of directors at Fundación Éxito, but because of her own contribution to especially the gender sensitivity angle of this conversation. Queen Rita? you have been nothing but a generalist. So I must thank you for sterling anchoring, because it's not easy anchoring a hybrid event with no audience to use for a thermometer. To also be able to run through people who are juggernauts in their disciplines, a journalist delight, as you call them. You have been stellar. You have been stunning. Thank you so very much. Okay. 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 Sorry, that's Dominic and I. These two people, right? I don't want to tell you one word. I went to just to bury a friend's wife and had to rush in for this event. Yes, he lost his wife at 45, so we had to deal with her. Yes, so young. Matter of fact, the day we went to bury her, her first name is Grace. Another person was being buried. Same first name, just 2 years older than her. I don't know what's going on, but in all honesty, Nigeria needs prayers at this time, in all honesty. But I would also like to give special mention to Mrs. Beverly Agbakoba. I don't have a profile up here, but I am well aware of her contributions to this event. And there's so many people, if we were to give thanks now, we'd just go on and on and on. But for your support, not just for this organization, but for the vision. Because in all honesty, we at Fundación Éxito are not as worried about ourselves and our corporate existence, because we know a million ways of existing, but we're concerned about the future of the country. We're concerned about what nation we bequeath our children. I considered the Jackpot phenomenon some 13 years ago, some 10 years ago, 2013. So I packed my wife and kids and threw them on board a plane, and then we ran to a country, and we spent 2 weeks. On the fourth day, my daughter Zoe, who is now in SS2, would say to me, "Daddy, I want proper food. I want proper food." And she was tired of everything on offer. I would take her to the food courts and we'd taste food from all nations, and she just was not happy with that. In the end, I had to call Auntie Yabo. Oh, Auntie Yabo Alimi, God bless you. Sorry, I had to call your name. She would cook a storm and bring to our hotel. And that was how my kids would eat. And they were just like, you know what, Wild Wadi is fun, Jumeirah is cool, but no, we're going back home. Are you bringing grandpa? No, are you bringing grandma? No, so we're going back tonight. So we all came back here. And I'm a spiritual being, so I asked God to leave or not to leave. And he said, "Hey, did you hear my voice? Sit down here." That is how I just sat down in Nigeria. So it's a problem, but you see, the freedoms you enjoy in this country, you almost enjoy nowhere else. And the ease, if you can survive, if you be not weary of well-doing, you will reap in due season in this country. So I think we should all put our hands to the plow, and the next best chance we have to contribute to the shape of the plow is the election that's coming forth. So to my closing thoughts, I was interviewed earlier, and I asked, and I was asked one question: what do you want to see in the future, or how would you decide who to vote for? And I said, for me, I would look at Nigeria as a going concern. I would look at her as a corporation. Let's assume she's any of our big moribund companies. I need to put this back on the road to profitability and viability. So what needs to be done? I need to hire a new CEO who will staff the board and then hire new staff. So what does the CEO need to know? What does the CEO need to do? Who does the CEO need to be? What are the measures of success in physical infrastructure, in social infrastructure, in economic well-being of the nation? What does this CEO need to know? In disposition, in mien, conduct, in character, in history, in capacity, what does this CEO need to have? So if you know what you need in the person that should sit as chief executive officer to stop the bleeding, set up a mechanism, and deliver the goods across all the areas that affect your Human Development Index, your GDP, your GDI, your GNP, and all the positive indices that you use to measure success, then look for who amongst these people will be a fitting CEO. It's a recruitment process. How have they sold themselves to you? I know what the problem is. I have the solutions, and this is my plan for the future. Hire me. How have they come to you? Mark them. This one over 100, this one over 100, this one over 100. And based on that, I would advise that we decide how we now hire the next person who will help us navigate from now to 2031. Upon this note, I would like to say thank you so very much for your time and attention, and God bless Nigeria.
Why have your picture? Let's just take a picture with it. Let's take one. Before we do it, let's yes. We started praying. Yes. So it's not 3, 6. Anyway. Yes.
And it's more fragile than me, see.
It's very fast. That's why.
My wife said, when you get there, make sure you have water. I said, you have water. No, I got for the water. I didn't have that.